Some of the simple results then of what we saw, and I'll try to highlight some of the differences. These are presented from the top to the bottom, from least variable to most variable. Spinal cord was least variable. This is showing only the total volume, so it has nothing to do with whether it was in the right place or not. It's whether they contoured the same volume. I'll point out some things here. So for the least variable was the spinal cord. The volume of the gold versus the mean. You can see here already we have a little bit of a concern where the gold was on average about 20% larger, and like I said, it's never a good thing to contour too little of a critical structure. Brainstem, we see it was closer in mean, but we did see the standard deviation fairly high compared to the mean. Then as we get more and more variable, look at the parotid. Now these were both parotids combined. We had some people contour the combined parotid, so that's what we scored. Look at here, the mean was almost half. The mean of the actual recorded parotid volume was about half of what the gold was. Again, same concern here. We're contouring too little of a critical structure. The submandibular, one thing I'd like to point out here is that standard deviation is almost the same size as the gold. So we're getting extremely variable just in volume alone. The larynx and the brachial plexus is almost going off the chart in terms of variability. Here are the structure scores. So these are the metric scores. I gave you the mean and then the lowest and the highest observed, again from least variable to most variable. A couple things to point out here. Notice for the top four, we had a wide range, and the mean gets pretty low, especially when you're in the parotids or the submandibular. But notice the highest score was always very good, which means it's not impossible. There are people out there getting excellent agreement with, in this case, what were deemed the gold contours. Changed a little bit for the larynx, where the highest score was a 50, and then the highest score was actually negative for the brachial plexus. Here's the same structure scores. It's presented as histograms, so it gives you a visual idea of the variability. Spinal cord. Brainstem. Notice it's bimodal in nature. There were a couple brainstems, about 5, that were strange. Total parotid. Wide variability. Look at the spread of the scores. Submandibular, again, it seems to be there's a clump on the right of people who are really close to at least what the gold contours turned out to be. And then we have clumps of other people. Now notice when there's a clump somewhere, it may have just mean there's a systematic difference in training. It may not be that someone can't draw. It may be that they were trained to do a different type of volume here. And so I think consistency in training is obviously one of the things that should fall out of these quality initiatives, and then we should always be training to the right answer, of course. The larynx, we start to get very low metric scores. I'm truncating any metric score that was less than 0. I'm just making it 0 so as not to skew. And then all the scores were negative for the brachial plexus. So you can see how complicated that was, but hopefully what Dr. Wheeler taught you earlier might clear that up. So I'm going to give the winners now. I'm going to do it in 2 stages. I'm going to do best in class. So for each of the organs we studied, I'll give you the name of the person who had the highest score. And then we're going to announce the top 3 overall winners. This is taken as the average of all 6 ROI metric scores. And again, any score that was negative, I truncated it at 0 so as not to skew it too much. So here we go. Here are the best-in-class winners. Spinal cord, Rhonda Sweet. Brainstem, Rhonda Sweet. Total parotid, Wei Ren. Submandibular, Joshua Asper. Notice that really any score about 90 or above is extremely close to the gold ROIs. You can see that what this amounts to is that probably there weren't many places where the contour was more than, say, 2 to 3 millimeters different. Wei Ren had the highest larynx score, and then Julie Jenkins, the brachial plexus. Overall winners, the moment that everyone's been waiting for. Here are the scores.
We need a drum roll?
So notice that the average scores really were dragged down a fair amount by the larynx and the brachial plexus, but still these are based on the average. Third place we will award first. Theo Howard Ames, from New York. So hopefully Theo is watching and people are patting him on the back right now. Second place, Loyola's own Jen Magliari.
All right, Jen.
So Jen was very consistent. You didn't see her name in any of the best in the breed, but you can see her average score. So John Ruski, if you're still on the phone, you can buy Jen a cup of coffee later. She did a great job. And then, without further ado, first place, participating all the way from across the globe in Australia, was Wei Ren from the National University Health System in Australia. So those were our top 3 scores. If anyone knows any of these 3 people, send them an email.
Wei just came in and said Singapore.
Oh, Singapore. I'm very sorry. So it's still a long ways away. This is what I had in my files. But congratulations to really everyone who participated, but these are the top 3 scores. I think right now is where we'll cut it off, so if there are any closing comments from Neil, I'll hand it back over to him. But before that, I would like to let you know, this is something, the contouring challenge, we kind of all do it and we create spare time so that we can do it. Anyone can participate. Absolutely, we just need your blood, sweat, and tears in doing some contours, and we appreciate your time you're taking to attend this. It shows that everyone really does realize this is an important issue. If you have any good ideas for contouring challenges, or even if you're a research institution and you want to publish on a certain topic, you can realize here that each of these contouring challenges produces a lot of good data that should very well be published. And so if you have an idea, this is all part of the initiative. We're trying to do it for the good of the industry. So go ahead and email your ideas, probably to Neil Miller from Standard Imaging, and we'll consider it, because we're going to keep going with the contouring challenges. We've done 2. And hopefully many more to come.
All right, great. And as Ben's last point says there, we will be at the AMD meeting in St. Louis next year, and we'll be doing a contouring challenge right there, so definitely take part if you're going to be there. I want to thank my speakers who donated their time today to talk, especially Dr. Wheeler, again, for basically stepping in and helping us out at the last minute. We do have several publications that are coming out on the work that we're doing, the work that they're doing up in London, up in Canada. So definitely keep an eye out for that. As you leave the webinar, you are going to have a questionnaire that comes up. If you are looking to get continuing education credits for this, we definitely are getting them from the AMD. We have not gotten approval quite yet from the CAMPEP folks, but we're pretty sure we're going to get that. So if you want to get CEs, make sure you fill out that questionnaire completely. We need to have all the answers answered to be able to turn those in and get you your CE credits, for the AMD for sure, but also if they, when they get approved by CAMPEP. So definitely do that. And if you have any questions, any comments, or anything that you would like to add to this, please contact me anytime. You should all have my contact information from all the emails that went out, and we'll be continuing to do this so watch for the next contouring challenge. I did record this. I will be making the recording available to everyone who signed up. It'll also be available from the Contouring Challenge website, which is contouringchallenge.com, and that's about all I've got. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, great holiday, and New Year coming up, and we'll all talk to you again real soon.